guys, and welcome back to this tutorial. In this section we'll start to look at constructors. As we've seen before, constructors are called whenever you want to create an instance of a class. For instance, here, for example, you have the class called bike, and you have a function here that is public, that is called bike, and that will be effectively the constructor for the class called bike. Now you can see in this constructor, you have a speed that is set to 0 and a name which is set to my bike. So again, this is our constructor. Now, if you don't declare it, Unity will create a constructor by default that will do absolutely nothing except from creating a brand new bike. So what we've done here before is we just specify that whenever a bike is created, the speed is set to 0 and a name is set to my name. Now, one of the beauties of C# is the idea of polymorphism. The idea that basically a function can take different forms. So that's the idea of morph. Polymorph means several forms or several ways to appear. So in our case, what we'd like to do is to create a new constructor, but in this constructor we'll pass parameters. So for instance, here we could create public and then again bike. So again, it's still a constructor, but in this case, again, I'm going to open and close the curly bracket. But in this case, I will actually start to pass two parameters, one for the speed, so I'm going to call that new speed, and maybe a string for a new name. So you can see that this function or method is exact same as the previous one. The main difference, the key difference, is that we are passing now two parameters. So in this case, I'm going to set the speed of this bike will be the new speed, and the name of this new bike will be basically the new name. So that's done. Okay, so I'm going to put my semicolon there, save. So again, we should have no errors there, and I'm going to modify my script here. So far we have this first bike. I'm going to leave that there actually just to show that you can have two constructors living happily in harmony, but you can use the two of them as well. So again, here you're going to say I'm going to create a new bike, so bike maybe bike 2, and in this case the constructor I will use is the second one. So I'm going to say that the speed maybe will be 100 and the name will be superbike. Doesn't really matter. Okay, so again, this is my second bike. So again, for this bike here, I'm going to do the same again. I'm going to create a sentence or a message that will display the name of my bike. But again, here we're going to be my bike 2, and again my bike 2 dot speed. So again, using the dot notation here, we specify that we want to display the name of the bike on my bike 2, and again using the dot notation again, we want to display the speed of the object called my bike 2 that we declared here. That is an instance of the class called bike, but that has been constructed using a second constructor for which you can pass two parameters, one for the speed and one for the name. So here I'm going to save this code here and go back to Unity, and my code should be compiled relatively quickly, and then I will run it, and we should see in the console window that we have two messages. So again, the code has been compiled. Here I'm going to play the scene, and again, once the scene is playing, you should see two messages, one for the first bike and one for the second bike. So you can see here that the first, there's an error message, but we're okay for now. So again, the first bike is saying that the speed is 0, and the name is called my bike. For the second one, you can see that the name is superbike and the speed is 100. So we can see that it has worked in the sense that we have created a second constructor, and this second constructor has been employed using for the object called my bike 2. And again, it's a nice way to show you what is called polymorphism, the idea that a method can take several forms. Again, in our case, we have basically a method called bike, which is the constructor, that can take several forms, one without parameters and one with two parameters. And if we wanted to, we could create other bike methods with different type of parameters, different number and types of parameters.